You know, every so often, a nation finds itself at a real turning point, a crossroads where the future is pretty much unwritten. And today, we're looking at a brand new, incredibly detailed blueprint that's been put on the table for Bangladesh. So, let's dive in and see what this is all about.
At the heart of this whole conversation is a new book, The Architects of Tomorrow, by Guru Delawar Hossain. And let me tell you, this isn't just a collection of nice ideas. Nope, it's being presented as a complete, integrated vision for building an entirely new kind of state. And the preface? It does not pull any punches. It uses some very specific, very powerful words, manifesto and roadmap. That kind of language tells you right away that the ambition here isn't about small adjustments. It's about a fundamental, fully planned out transformation of the entire nation. And the goal they're aiming for is incredibly ambitious. The book explicitly says it wants to elevate Bangladesh to the same kind of global standing as nations like Japan and Singapore, countries that are beacons of stability, prosperity, and progress. That is a very high bar to set, but that's the vision.
So that brings up a really crucial question. Why such a radical proposal? And why right now? What are the problems that this roadmap is actually designed to solve?
Well, the book argues that for decades, the nation's massive potential has been held back by challenges that are just deeply embedded in the system. We're talking about systemic corruption, social injustice, poverty, and inequality, the kind of stuff that can just stifle a country's growth for generations.
And this is why the central idea is described as a revolution for the rejuvenation of Bangladesh. The key here is that this isn't about reform around the edges. It's a call for a complete national overhaul, a kind of awakening to build something totally new from the ground up.
So where to even begin a task that monumental? Well, this blueprint starts with the absolute foundation of a fair society, the justice system. It's laid out as the first and maybe the most critical pillar of change.
The proposal lays out this four-part attack plan to rebuild the judiciary from the inside out. The idea is to create new commissions and councils for oversight and accountability, pass a clear, transparent law for how judges are actually appointed, and, this is a big one, build a firewall to completely separate the courts from the influence of the executive branch.
Now, this next point really gets at the idea of decentralization. This number, 8, represents 8 new permanent high court benches they want to establish outside the capital, Dhaka. The goal here is pretty simple: make justice physically accessible to people all across the country, not just in one central hub.
And here's a fascinating little detail. The role of an ombudsman, which is basically a constitutional watchdog to investigate complaints against public officials, has actually been in the Constitution for years, but it was never activated. This plan calls for finally flipping the switch on this powerful tool to ensure accountability and fight corruption.
Okay, so, with the justice system on the table, the plan moves to its second major pillar, reshaping the entire structure of the government itself. And the proposals here are just as sweeping. The roadmap calls for decentralizing power away from the current central government, which would likely give more autonomy to local regions. It suggests drafting a whole new constitution and overhauling the bureaucracy. It even proposes rethinking parliament, going so far as to suggest abolishing reserved seats for women, likely arguing for a system where all seats are contested on equal footing.
Sometimes a name change can signal the deepest kind of philosophical shift. And the proposal to change the country's official name from the People's Republic of Bangladesh to simply the Republic of Bangladesh is a really powerful symbol of this whole intended transformation.
So, how do you package all of these complex, heavy ideas? Well, this is the public face of the movement, the Article-27 initiative. It's the brand that brings all 27 of these judicial and constitutional reform proposals together under one single unified banner.
Now, this isn't just some abstract plan for a distant future. The entire proposal is framed as an urgent call to action, and it's driven by very recent events and tied to a strict timeline. You can really feel the sense of a ticking clock, and this is where we get to the heart of why all of this is happening right now. This timeline puts everything into sharp focus. The student uprising in July 2024 is presented as the catalyst, the moment that really unleashed the demand for fundamental change. And that sets a hard deadline. All these key reforms to the justice system and government must be done before the national election in 2026. That is an incredibly tight window to try and reshape an entire country.
And coming directly out of that uprising are several non-negotiable demands that need immediate attention.
This isn't just about long-term theory. It's about real, tangible actions right now. There's a call for visible justice for the victims, a reform of the police and administration, and concrete support like jobs, training, and even a special status for those who are injured in the movement.
Ultimately, the book's message really boils down to this powerful idea. It emphasizes that a transformation of this size can't be achieved by just a small group of people. It requires the unity and shared purpose of the entire nation, all 180 million people moving together on the same path.
And so, this all leaves us with a final, crucial question. A detailed blueprint, born from a moment of crisis, has been laid out. But the real question, for any nation at a crossroads, is what does it truly take to move from paper plans to reality and become the architects of your own tomorrow?